Do you know how many errata cards exist for Into the Inklands? Let's learn about them together. Hello Illumineers, this is Mateus, and today we will look at all of the Into the Inklands errata cards. Errata cards are cards which have had their text, content, or design fixed due to errors or misprints that occurred during the design stage before they were printed. Let me get started by saying that even though there have been 6 cards identified to have an error in this set, so far only one of them has received an errata version for Into the Inklands. The reason that the remaining cards have not yet received their errata is because there hasn't been a reprint of this set quite yet. This is similar to what we saw with Rise of the Floodborn, where errors were acknowledged by the developers or corrected in the Disney Lorcana app, but not officially errated in print. For this set, the cards with identified errors can be organized into 4 categories. Starting with Wrong Card Classification category, this has happened to Ursula, Deceiver of All, both to the Legendary and Enchanted versions. The card was mistakenly printed with the Storyborn classification, while in reality she should have been Dreamborn. For those who might not be familiar with the lore of Disney Lorcana, Storyborn are characters that follow the same identity we all know from their appearances in Disney films and shows and are defined as canon by Disney. Dreamborn, however, are characters or glimmers that when cast by Lumineers, had their identity mixed up with the Lumineers' imagination, transforming them into something different than their Storyborn counterparts. With Ursula, the original character isn't a singer, even though that's probably what she always wanted to be. Because of that, Deceiver of All reflects her Dreamborn variation and not Storyborn as it was originally printed. This is probably one of the most impressive errors in Disney Lorcana so far, not only because of what it represents when challenging such a canon character from Disney, but also because of how strong this card is for the meta and the fact that the error is also present in its enchanted version. When identified by the community, this card skyrocketed in cost, as many people were expecting a fix to come very fast with a reprint. With Ravensburger not fully confirming or denying if a reprint will happen, the cost of this card started to drop again, but it still remains the most expensive card for Into the Inklands as of right now. Finally, because of how this type of error in classification can have a big gameplay impact, Disney Lorcana has updated this on their companion app and confirmed the error. But as of right now, this card has never received an errata and it only exists on its errored form in print. For our next category, mistyped text on the card's description, you will notice that this happened to another enchanted card for this set. This time around, it was Peter Pan, Pirate's Bane. If you look up close to the errored version of this card, when describing the shift ability, the description has a misplaced bracket. Gameplay-wise, this doesn't mean anything or affect the function of this card at all. However, what is unique about this card is that during production, the error was noticed by the team and fixed on the spot. But this didn't stop some of these cards being distributed with this error around the world. So even though Into the Inklands didn't receive a reprint just yet, this particular card exists in both its errored and fixed versions. Like with Ursula once discovered, the prices for the errored version also skyrocketed, especially in countries where the majority of the distributed cards already had the fix applied. It is very difficult to say exactly how many of those cards actually exist, and as a consequence, the price has fallen slightly from its initial peak. Ravensburger have not updated their Disney Lorcana companion app with a fix for this card's description, but this will likely happen once the next set, Ursula's Return, comes out and the app gets a major update. Under the category Wrong Word that changes a card effect, we only have one card, and the error only exists in the French version. This is to do with Frère Prêtre de Nottingham. In the errored version, the card's effect says that when you play this character, the opponent or opponents with the most cards in their hand chooses and discards a card. However, this effect in reality should be applied to all players as shown in the English version of this card, and also as confirmed by Steve Warner, lead game designer at Ravensburger. Of course, this error significantly changes the intended effect of the card. With no reprints, this card hasn't been fixed just yet for our French ami. Finally, our last category is Wrong Card Name between regular and foil. This error happens to 2 different cards in this set, and both from their Italian versions. With Macchia Piccolo Minaccioso, or Patch in English, the regular version of this card has the correct name in Italian. However, weirdly enough, the name was printed as Pizzi on the cold foil variation. It appears that Pizzi was the name given to his stain in the Italian dubbing of this movie. The same happens with Cubby Possente Bimbo e Sperduto, where the regular version has its correct name, but its cold foil variation has it printed as Orsetto. Neither cold foil versions of these cards have been fixed just yet. Did you know that you can also see some of these erratas via Disney Lorcana companion app? Not all cards are listed just yet, but for those that are, you can access details about any erratas by viewing these cards in full and then scrolling down to see the additional details. Another way to do so is simply by typing errata in the search field, which will filter those down for you for all sets. And this is the list of identified errors so far for Into the Inklands. We would also like to give a big shout to Lorcana Rob for helping us putting together some of these cards from this list. Check his amazing work on Instagram. If you like this video and want to find out more about erratas for the first chapter and Rise of the Floodborn, please check our previous videos here in the channel. As always, thanks for watching and happy questing!